and I'm his firstborn son. So there was this expectation that I was supposed to be his mini-me, that I was supposed to take on his habits, his traits, and his ways of being. But the beautiful thing, and I guess unfortunate for him and just the family, is that was never who I was. And even if I tried to be it, it cannot be something that I could have committed and stuck to because it just wasn't in my nature. Welcome to Healing Conversations podcast.
Podcast.
Yes.
What
Hello,
up?
hello, everyone. Welcome back to Healing Conversations podcast.
Podcast.
It's always an honor and a pleasure to have you in this space. As you know, this is our space of expansion, growth, and we talk all things healing. And as always, as we heal individually, we support the collective by being the example and showing them what healing looks like and embodying the frequency of love.
Yes, and this is a community conversation. So definitely tune in to our Instagram pages, our Facebook. If you're listening on Spotify or Apple Music, on YouTube, wherever you are, put your comments in, put your reviews in, contact us, let us know how these conversations are impacting you. This is a collective conversation, so we definitely love hearing what you have to say, and especially this conversation today. I'm very interested.
Yes, I feel like this is going to each week we bring fire. I must say that,
True.
like, because it's always something that's current, relevant, and it supports the awakening of what others may be wanting to talk about but afraid to talk about. And we're like, let's talk about it. And that's how we heal, is through the discomfort. So it is currently at the time of recording this, it is June, and this is Pride Month. So it is appropriate to talk about that. Let's talk about pride. Let's talk about the LGBTQ community. Let's talk about society and the norms of what has been taught, where people are stuck, and how people are breaking free from the chains of projections and wanting to be accepted by the world, and they're being their unique, authentic expression in the light in which they came in this world to be. Now, what really inspired this conversation is I was scrolling on social media and ran across someone who posted something in regards to like men being gay in the football just arena, we'll say that. And how they said that it's okay to do what you do, but be mindful of displaying what you do in front of the children. And I seen it, and it really, I had to sit with those feelings that were flowing through me because there was a sense of anger, there was a sense of irritation, and honestly, there was a sense of sadness that I felt that was flowing through me. The anger and the irritation is because it brought me back to a time and space on my journey where I was afraid to be me, show me, and just allow me to be free from what others thought was acceptable and appropriate and okay. And I lived in a closet. And it's funny that term coming out the closet. I didn't really understand it until I started to do a lot of inner work and I realized that there were different areas of my life that I hid in the closet. One area was my sexuality, and that's because coming from the upbringing and background that I grew up in, my father was like this hardcore gangster, and I'm his firstborn son. So there was this expectation that I was supposed to be his mini-me, that I was supposed to take on his habits, his traits, and his ways of being. But the beautiful thing, and I guess unfortunate for him and just the family, is that was never who I was. And even if I tried to be it, it cannot be something that I could have committed and stuck to because it just wasn't in my nature. I was more soft, I was more fragile, I was more loving and kind and opposite of my father. And a lot of my life, I was afraid to be that soft, fragile, gentle being that I was because I felt like I had to be just the opposite of that. And even when I was the soft and gentle, I was always told to man up and toughen up, and they would try to rough me up, and it wouldn't do anything because I still would be who I was. But a lot of my life, I lived in that space of just hiding. I was asking for permission to be me. I was afraid to show all of me. And when I seen that post, it just triggered that feeling in me of like, okay, this is what the world is still on. In 2025, you still got people projecting this toxic masculinity and this idea that in order to play a certain role or do a certain thing, this is the protocol of what you have to be in order to fulfill that. And the sadness that flowed through me is because 10 out of 10 times, I won't even say 9 out of 10 times, 10 out of 10 times, someone who has so much anger, hate, and irritation for someone being who they are and expressing their true, authentic, just nature, it's because there's a part of them that hasn't done that within themselves. It's a part of them that's fighting something within themselves that they're still feeling trapped in. So the hate comes from self hate, but it projects out into others that they're judging and kind of feeling like they have some authority over it, even in the sense of like the sexuality. It seems as though those who are under the identity and label of straight seems as though anything that isn't that is beneath them. That's just kind of feeling that I get as being on the opposite end. It's like they make an exception for you because of your label that's opposite of straight. They try to, in a sense, belittle you because it's like, oh yeah, we'll just keep that over there, but don't do that over here. So it's kind of this sense of oppression that I feel like it's repeated in a different way, and it creates the feeling of like lack of expression of a lot of people who are under the umbrella of the LGBTQ because if you haven't fully come to grips of who you are and what you are, you'll still, in a sense, try to be someone else in order to fit into certain environments and spaces. And this is the month of June, and this is Pride. So I love this because not to limit it to just a month, because I don't really fall into the holidays because I feel like they are effective, but there's still restrictions of like, well, only this month we're gonna highlight it, and then we'll forget about it the rest of the year. But to speak into the positive and the benefits of the month of June, which is Pride, is it gives people that sense of confidence, that sense of empowerment to say, you know what? I normally probably wouldn't do something like this or show something like this, but I feel encouraged to do it because I know I'm not alone. And it's inviting people to just be proud of who you are because the world will try to make you feel as though you should be ashamed, but it's through releasing what the world tells you to be and you start to be who you came in this world to be. You start to be proud of all parts of you that you are. And I'll end it there.
Mm. Yes, I love it. I love it. Um, and something you said was pretty funny to me. You're, you're talking about how you expected to be your dad's mini me, and you're like, unfortunately for them.
Just saying.
It's so true because I was and I don't know if this is like a black people thing or this is just a parent thing in general, but having your kid be your mini me and being like, this is my mini me, and like they don't even have a name anymore. That was something that
Mhm.
kind of happened with myself and my mother. And also unfortunately I'm not that into men. Although I do identify as pansexual, and I don't have a gender preference. It really is an exchange that I like to experience with people. And if that exchange is something that I'm attracted to, then yeah, I don't really care what's going on with your body. I want it perfect, whole, healthy, and complete, right? But
Hmm.
as far as what's going on with your business, you feel me? We can figure it out. And what I feel so interesting about like the social ideas as a pansexual person is how much people's attitudes will shift when they realize that somebody is queer, gay, non-binary. Like it doesn't even have anything to do with sexuality. That's just a personal expression. You feel me? But it's like for me, right? Somebody meets me. Say I'm wearing what I'm wearing now. Got my little tank top with my chain, right? A little, if you're listening, I have on like a collared kind of Hawaiian shirt and a tank top. Um, and they would be like, oh, well, she seems kind of cool and laid back. And we start having a conversation and things are going well and they like me. And then I mentioned something like, oh yeah, me and my partner, me and my wife, me and my girlfriend, or something like that. And then all of a sudden they're like, oh, actually, we can't be friends no more.
Hmm.
Just that quickly, when we were just talking about their grandma, they was about to invite me over for Thanksgiving. They're showing pictures of their kids, and all of that gets shifted in a lot of people simply from the enlightenment that somebody has a personal preference for their own life experience, which has created this person, which has created me in this example, and is somebody that you are enjoying being around, somebody that you admire, somebody that you are building trust with, right? Like we have these moments of exchange where things are beautiful, but then so easily it can be damaged just because of a piece of information. And what I think, again, I just find this so interesting that the information about what somebody does in the privacy of their own space with another consenting adult, or how they are like being in a couple with somebody, sitting next to somebody at a concert, not even like extreme PDA or anything, maybe just like holding hands, it'll set people off.
Hmm.
And it's like, I'm not making you have the same relationship that I want to have. I'm not trying to say everybody needs to be this way. But on the other side of the aisle, that's what people are doing. They're saying you need to be this way. You can't be proud of who you are. You can't celebrate who you are. You can't be who you are and like what you like out loud,
Mm-mm.
because that's not what I like to do. But if you try to tell me to do what you're doing, even though I don't like to do it, I'm gonna be mad at you. I'm gonna say you're trying to change me. You're trying to corrupt the children. But when people do it for heteronormative ideas, it's just like, well, this is the way it's supposed to be. But who really came up with that? I know some people will say like God in the Bible in the scripture, but who really said that? Because if we are all a creation of God and God is expressing as us, and there are millions of people in this world who are open to, not even maybe like sternly committed to a same-sex relationship, just open to it. Like those people are also made in the image and likeness of God. So like all of these millions of people, like I don't know. I just feel like you either think God is the creator of all the things, or you don't know that God is the creator of all things. And that's just my personal opinion. Listen, this is a a healing conversation for me as well. And I do bring my own personal perspectives into the situation. I'm not telling anybody how to think or believe or
Mm,
what they should be using as the foundation of their thoughts about the world. I'm simply inviting us all to investigate this shift that happens when somebody expresses, like, oh, I have a husband and it's a man, or I have a wife and it's a woman.
hmm
Um, because we are so much more beyond that, like you're not just somebody's partner, you're not just a teacher, you're not just a mother, you're not just a CEO, you're not just a fitness trainer, you're not just a model, right? Like we are multifaceted and our sexuality is included in that. And I'll let that there.
mm. So much juice. And I love that you spoke to like how if you try to like if you tell someone what they can't do, you would want someone to do that to you. And that idea of like showing PDA if you are of the same sex is frowned down on and look like you just scared someone. Like like you just came out of somewhere and
Ah,
scared
gay.
someone and they got hit with the boogie monster. And I love that, like, and it's like you spoke to that because even that idea, like, okay, you can't show PDA, but if you're straight, it's okay. Like that right there. And when we really unpack it, like, y'all, like, this has been happening for centuries. Like, in the sense of this sense, and there was one point in time where, like, it was illegal.
It still is in some
In
countries.
some countries, it's illegal to be that way. And it's just so sad. And that's where the sadness came from as I was sharing the post that I seen that activated because the fact that there is this idea, and a lot of times people use God, and I love that you spoke into that, in religion. I think people have this misunderstanding of God and religion and think they're intertwined, but
Mm,
they're not. Because religion was created by man. God is the creator.
mm,
So they're not the same. And man has altered religion to fit into this sense of control, to have people think that something outside of them controls them, something outside of them is judging them, something outside of them condemns them if they don't check off all the boxes and do things the righteous way. That the way in the righteous way is the way that this man that wrote this book said, hey, this is what I want you to do. And if you don't do this, you're going to hell. And a lot of people, they use this book, whatever practice that you may have, and they try to use it for a weapon against people, but they're not living it.
mm.
They're not practicing it. So
A whole
they
lot of stuff in the
project
book.
it and project the
Mm-hmm.
misunderstanding of it to use it to condemn.
Mm,
So that's why, like, even when people use God as it says in the Bible that a man should be with a woman and all of this, I'm like, what other scripture you gonna throw at me? Because a lot of times people just have scriptures, but they don't have breakdowns and understandings of the scripture, and they just use it as it's kind of the hand in the face. Thou shall not be with man. Bump, bump. I'm just, and it's like, but move your hand out my face and let's have a conversation. Let's
mm,
unpack it because I want to understand it. And that's where their frustration and irritation comes because they don't even understand what they're trying to tell you.
mm,
Let's speak about it. They don't even fully understand. That's why they believe in God, but they don't know God.
mm,
And a belief is the thought that you think over. It's like you don't believe your parents are there. You know they're there.
mm,
You don't believe in the sky. You know the sky is there because it's you see it. So that's where a lot of people who are stuck in these beliefs are stuck in these projections because they're trying to convince themselves through let me try to condemn you, right you, and wrong you so you can see how righteous I am. But the moment that they throw a scripture, throw a judgment, they're now doing the opposite of what they're trying to condemn you for. Meaning they're having their own. And in the religious sense of fornications and sins that they're doing, but it's not, but I'm not sleeping with the same sex. So I'm above you. I'm not living my life in that way. So I can judge you. And
Mm,
that's where, like, for me, and I love that we're talking about this because that's where a lot of people they get stuck in this idea because of what you may have grown up in. You may have grown up in a religious background. You may have had that like type of experience, but that doesn't mean that that has to be your truth now. That doesn't have to be where you are stuck now. And a lot of times, as I shared, like there was different closets that I was stuck in. That's a closet that people are stuck in that's keeping them from being proud of themselves is this fear of condemnation, this fear of God not loving them. For so
mm,
long, y'all, I lived my life thinking that God didn't love me
mm,
because of religion, church, and projections. And well, if you do this, you're going to hell and God's not going to love you. And so I grew up a lot of my life feeling already unloved in my home environment. Oh, I have never spoke about this. I already grew up feeling unloved in my home environment, and now you're telling me that the creator doesn't even love me too.
mm,
So of course I'm trying to seek it and search for it in different ways and different vices to fill a void that the world tells me can never be filled because of who I am. A lot of times, even, and I want to speak to real quick, in some cases, people explore and they're curious and they want to try out a new thing to see if they like it or not. But in my case, and a lot of other cases, this is how I was born. The same way that I can't change the color of my skin, I can't change that about me. This wasn't something I just seen someone do and say, "Ooh, I'm gonna do it too," and I'm gonna be that way. This has always been the way that I've been. And even people who knew me growing up always knew that I had a little sugar, extra sugar in the tank. It wasn't a little, it was an extra sugar in the tank. Okay, God said, let me just throw in the whole pack on you real quick. Okay, you got a gallon. Let it just, it's gonna be able to last you for this whole life experience. But it was how I was born. And for so long, people thought that it was what I chose to be. So they thought I can just choose to unbe this way. And I felt like I had to stop trying to explain that that wasn't my truth because people would never want to understand because once again they're trying to reference to, well, God said this, God said that. But it's for me now in 2025, like I'm so grateful that I don't subscribe to those projections and I have accepted and embraced it all of myself. And that's why it's like I'm proud of who I am and I'm proud that I've been able to be in the transition of seeing how the community has evolved from where there was so much secretness to now there's so much outness and the world is afraid of it because they can't control it and they can't stop it and it's quadrupling because
mm,
people are tapping into knowing like I don't have to be stuck in this box. You can be in it, but I'm choosing to get out of it. So I'll end it there.
mm. Yes, that last bit about the freedom scaring people is very important. Um, like you said, religion has been used to control people, and so has the social norm of being straight, right?
Hmm.
Because there was like, you know, um, restrictions on like how many kids you can have, and there was all different types of sterilization things happening. So controlling people through sexuality and through religion has been like two key parts of the like the they who are wanting to control, right?
Hmm.
And like you said, in 2025, not only are more people becoming bold enough to explore just their curiosity around sexual things, um, but also live in that and be in it and honor themselves. And in addition, there is this awakening happening with people's consciousness. So people are coming more aware and awakened consciously, and they're becoming more free sexually. And that energy is powerful because sexual energy is creative energy. And if it is not being expressed in healthy ways, or if it was being suppressed because of social norms or fears or whatever, then people are not able to really tap into that creative power. However, now that we are in this season where, like Ramel said, it's like quadrupling and multiplying, and more people are becoming open, that power will start to move more, and people will have that, and people are having
Mhm.
that connection to that creative power. And I think it's really beautiful. And yes, there are still individuals, and there probably will be for quite some time, who are very set on their beliefs, like you're saying. They just want to keep telling themselves this thought and standing in that, even when evidence, like real experience, is presented to them. Like I said earlier, you're talking to me, I'm queer, you find out I'm queer, we were friends, but now all of a sudden you're like, oh, you, the power of Christ compels
Mhm.
you. Really questioning that and saying, do I want to be that easily swayed about something that is really a non-factor, that really doesn't affect me? Do I really want to keep myself from experiencing the joy of friendship, or a financial exchange, or a business partnership, because I have a belief about what other people should be doing? Again, no one is telling you you have to go experiment or do something that is not of your nature. Like Raymel said, since he was born, he has known this about him. Since I was a child, I knew this about me, but I did suppress it for some time because, like I said, I'm not really one gender or the other. So I'm like, okay, man, they're cool, whatever. I find this, but I still have this um, physical, like biological attraction to women. And I didn't allow myself to fully really explore that, like sincerely, in like a relationship sense, and not just like a, oh, they're cute, she's cute type of deal.
Mhm.
um and now that I have allowed myself to do that, my heart feels so much more open, and I feel so much more free, and I can actually see myself being in a life relationship with someone who I'm, will probably be a woman. And and I'm still attracted to men, and I still want to have children, and I still plan on having a father for my children, right? And this is a life that I'm building, and I have to have this resiliency as I'm navigating building that and what that looks like because of the social things going on. Um, but I'm not going to allow what other people think or might think or say to keep me from the joy that I want to experience through relationships. So, yeah, this has been a really good conversation right now. And,
I knew
there's
it
always so
would.
quick. I know.
It's so much we can talk about, and I feel like definitely some things we shared today will land and activate triggers within you and explore and be open for them all because that's how we heal. It's through the
Mm,
discomfort, not through the safety of what we are familiar with. So you already know we got to end it with some tips because
mhm,
that's our give back to you. It's giving you ways to navigate through the discomfort or the activations that may happen for you. So first tip that I want to invite you all to do is what's coming through for me is community. And we've shared this in different ways, but for me, that was a big support for me. On my own, I didn't have, like, when I didn't know any other people who were in the community, I held so much in. I had to suppress and just keep to myself, which was just uncomfortable for me. Because I had no one who I can talk to about things. I had no one who I can ask questions about things. So I had to just explore and figure things out on my own. And I would invite you to just look into community. Some just if there's any virtual spaces, in-person spaces, open yourself up to being around others who are like you. And it's not to be lost in the box of that, but it just warms you up to feel more comfortable to express you and be you. And you
Mm.
start to unthaw from feeling frozen and robotic to how you're supposed to be. And you start to loosen up and soften up to who you've always been. And that community will support and nurture you into allowing you to develop into that just being that you are versus feeling afraid of who you have to be just to be in spaces. So that's my first one is community.
Mm, absolutely. And that's just really important. That's really important. And I would say my tip is to do some journaling. Take a
Mm,
moment to um, write out some things that may have come up in your childhood or in your adolescence or even recently where you had a curiosity or you had an interest, but you weren't fully able to explore it. And as you're sitting with that, see what you can do to allow yourself to express that more. So, for instance, with me, um, I would write out different situations. Like, I remember specifically when I was in like grade school, um, there was this other girl who I was kind of like, oh, she's cute and she's fun. Um, and I didn't really know how to go about like being her friend or like how to navigate that situation because I was just young and I went to a private school and those types of things are like don't do that. So I'm like, okay, I know that's bad. I know that's wrong.
hmm
So I never really allowed myself to explore that. So for my journaling, I would write out that experience and then I would think of ways where if there is a woman now that I'm an adult that I find attractive, what is something that I could do to actually um, move on that and
mm,
just write it out. I'm not saying you have to go out and do it. You feel me? Just write it out and allow yourself to have that freedom of authentically expressing what your desires are.
I love that. And the last one that's coming through for me to leave with you all is I invite you to find a way to express you. And what do I mean express you? Wear that thing. Put on the music and dance in the way that you feel called to. Do that crazy thing that people may tell you that, oh, you shouldn't do that because it's too much or it's doing too much and do too much, be too much.
Mm,
Like, because that's really how you are able to live in a space of pride versus hide. You're hiding when you're trying to do a little and dim your light because you're afraid to let people see you versus do too much, be too much because you are enough. And I would just say, just do that thing that scares you because that's how you know it's meant for you. It scares you because the world is telling you it's wrong, but in your heart and your soul, you know that it's right. So do that thing that you've been putting off or afraid to do. Be bold, be courageous, and just explore
mm,
it.
I love that. Be too much. It's okay. Because that's how we learn to expand ourselves and what we are authentically desiring to express. Like, do it, do the most. But I'm gonna do a little quick recap here so it's concise. So the first one that Ramel mentioned was look into community, get around people who you can express yourself authentically with and learn from. There is no one way to be anyway. However, if you do find yourself wanting to learn more about your queerness or just sexual preferences or just anything really, find people in the community who are able to support you. with exploring that with love. And the second thing was to do a journal prompt about authentically expressing your desires. So think of a time when you were not able to do that. If it does happen to be around sexuality, we talk about pride, right? Write that out and then write out a situation where you are who you are now and you're actually allowing yourself to express that. It's
Mm.
like the script writing is, I think is what it's called, like scripting your life. So yes, that was the second one. And then the third one is find a way to express yourself, be too much, do the most, wear the thing, get the
Mhm.
shoes, like put on the makeup, dance the dance, whatever it is, let yourself be free. This has been such a beautiful conversation, and I cannot
Mhm.
wait to see and hear and just get back the feedback from this episode. And if you do happen to get yourself like a cute dress or some shoes or a hat or something, take a picture and
Send it
tag
our
us.
way. Send us, tag us. Let's show
Yes,
us because we would love to see Yo Too Much.
yes, and we will cheer
Let
for
us
you.
see Yo Too Much because it looks good on you. And of
Mhm.
course, you know, you can always catch us every Saturday via Instagram, 3:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, Healing Conversations Live. So if you want
Yes,
to do too much in the comments, do too much on the virtual stage, come and join us because that's really where we're able to connect with you in live in real time and extend these conversations with you. So catch us
yes.
there. Raymel Bentley is my Instagram, VZ Spaces, Sister
Mhm.
Angelique's, and you'll see us there, 3:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. What a
Yes,
juicy conversation. What
yes,
an amazing conversation. I knew it was going to activate some things, and I'm curious to hear what landed for you and what you
yes.
took away from this.
Definitely hit us up again in the comments on YouTube, on Facebook, Spotify, Apple Music. Be a part of this community discussion. We're so grateful for you all listening. And if there is anything you would like us to unpack, you can also reach out to us in the same channels, and we might consider it and bring it to the healing conversation. So keep an eye out on my website, keep an eye out Ray Mel's page. We have plenty of things to offer and support you on this healing journey. You are not alone. And yeah,
Yeah.
anything else you want to say before we wrap
That's
this up?
it. We will see you all next week
See you next
and
week.
bye.
Bye.